want to thank you all for coming this afternoon to this meeting. I should big up my dear colleague, senior colleague, Fenton Ferguson, Dr. Ferguson. Of course, my close friend, business associate, partner, former MP, Peter Bunting, Dr. David Campbell, campaign manager.
Yeah.
Dr. Lexi Cook doing the work and working with Dr. Fenton. It's a pleasure to see all of you again, by the way. Michelle, I must tell you how much I enjoyed our interaction a year ago, and I'm very happy to see you here. And you know, you've heard, you know what my position is on the issue of this, but everybody has to do what they have to do. So, comrades, we just lost an election very badly. We have 14 seats out of 63. This is not a new thing, although the extent of the loss was drastic, and I don't think many of us expected it to be that bad. But if you look at it over a 20-year period, the PNP has been falling in the level of support, while the JLP has been moving up. 2011 was an exception to that, but a lot of things came together at that time to achieve that big victory they got in 2011. So, what are we going to do, comrades? We have to do something. We have to save our party. Jamaica needs a People's National Party. Our party, formed in 1938, was the party that offered hope and salvation to the masses of the Jamaican people in colonialism. We were the ones who fought for universal suffrage so ordinary Jamaicans could vote. We were the ones who fought for independence. And we were the architects of the Constitution through Norman Manley and his work. In the 70s, we were the architects of the most important social legislation, giving rights to women, rights to workers. So we have a very proud legacy, but we need to do some things to make our party strong again. And one of the things I think we need to do is bring the party together. Because there is no doubt that over the past few years, and it goes back to at least to 2005-06 and that challenge, there have been issues within the party that have been festering and have caused the party not to be as cohesive as it should be. I was part of Peter Bunting's campaign last year, my close friend and business partner, and a mentor. And he wanted to push out because he felt in his heart that it was the right thing to do, to offer the party an option. You know, when the polls were showing we were heading for a big defeat. And as a loyal person and his close friend, I supported him. After September the 7th, things didn't come back together as I think they should have. I don't think enough effort was really put in by the senior people in the party on both sides of that particular contest to really make it come back together. It festered for a bit. And then certain steps were taken over the last year that sought to improve that, and I think it did improve at the top.
Yeah.
But through the party going all the way down, I think it still remained a fraction. And at least the impression was given that we were not a united party. That was not the reason, or certainly not the only reason why we lost the election. Our organization is not what it once was. And when you look on the ground and you compare how the JLP do their thing now to how we do our thing, we are lacking and we need to step up our game. There was the influence of money in the election, and the JLP seemed to have endless amounts of money to spend, and they were prepared to spend it by any means necessary to achieve their objective. And of course, there was the issue of popularity, especially with Andrew Holness, the Brogard, the Green Clerks man, etc. We are where we are, comrades. But I really was somebody who has always been a team player, doing my best to serve the movement. Worked hard when I was a Minister of Government to serve the government and the people of Jamaica. But when I look around and see who the options are for leadership now, and Dr. Phillips has indicated that he's leaving, and he wants to leave as soon as he can, I said to myself, boy, you better step up, because the party needs you, and Jamaica needs PNP to be strong. What do I bring to the table, comrades? First of all, I'm a people person. I love people, and I love people from all levels of society. I represent a constituency in South St. Andrew, which is a hardcore constituency. You know, the communities there are communities which have the kind of issues that arise in the inner city areas. But I've gone in there and the people have got to know me and accept me. And I deal with them with love and they receive me with love. So I believe from a personality point of view, I have what it takes to try and pull the party together. I don't have any enemies in the party, and I'm not a person who carry feelings or carry belly. I'm a forgiving person. If somebody and I have an issue, I try and get over it so we can restore the relationship and move on. I think the party needs a healing personality to lead it at this time so we can move forward from some of those divisions of the past. I'm also somebody who has a career in the private sector and in law. So the leaders of the business community in the country know me and they trust me. I've done legal work for them for many years and I don't have any scandals to my name. I'm an ethical person and I believe that integrity is important and you must live by your word and keep your word. I think the party needs to present an image of integrity that is not just lip service but is true and that the people of Jamaica can relate to. Because if you look at the voting patterns, 60-odd%, 64% or close there too, didn't vote at all in the last election. And it is recognized that the way in which politics has been conducted, especially in the last few years under the JLP, turns a lot of people off. So despite the hype around Andrew Holness, they only got 21% of the registered voters coming out to vote for him. There's an opportunity for us, comrades, to appeal to that broad section of voters who didn't come out. Many of them are persons who have voted for the PNP in the past. 130,000 or thereabouts of them have voted in the last election for the People's National Party. We need to get back those people. And I think they were looking at us, and we didn't have a clear message that they could relate to, and we didn't appear unified, and all of that, and they just didn't come out. COVID was a factor as well, as we know. So comrades, what do I offer? I want to empower the workers of the party by a trust fund to support our party workers who have given long service and are struggling in their life or want to empower themselves. It's something I announced a year ago that I wanted to do. Have been successful. I've been working on it since. I intend to roll it out. I intend to put money into it myself and to raise money for it. For those party workers who have, for example, them house popped down and they've served the party for so long, to me it's an embarrassment that we don't have anything for those people. And I think when they show the people that we care for our workers, I think the people will respect the party more. And the relatives and descendants of those people will say, yes, People's National Party is not just about taking, but it's also about giving to its party workers. We need to strengthen our group structure. We've been saying this for a long time, but we need to really take it seriously. By training and education, political education, lifestyle, skills around simple financial literacy. You know, what is the difference between cash flow and profit if you're running a little business? And how do you treat things like diabetes and hypertension? What is the right lifestyle to keep yourself healthy? And then community service. The groups should be tasked to do, you know, regular acts of community service so that the people in the community see the groups being active and the groups can show that they are not just paper groups but a real grassroots organization. We have to build it from the ground up. Comrades, we need to have I think we need to bring in some professional help for team building and mediation within the party so that some of these interpersonal problems that are plaguing us can be handled professionally and resolved before they become a real long-standing problem. And we need to train people in the constituencies in mediation services so that we can try and address some of our issues in a more structured way and to resolve some interpersonal conflict, which are not often nothing to do with issues of principle or issues of ideology, but are about somebody disrespects somebody else or is perceived to have done that, or sometimes personal ambitions cause people to tread on other people's toes, and we have conflict which is really not based on anything of substance. So comrades, I'm about trying to bring back the love to the PNP. I'm about trying to bring back the unity to the PNP. I'm about trying to bring back the organization of the PNP. And I'm about trying to bring back a clear purpose to the PNP. A message that is rooted in our history as a party of empowering the people and empowering the Jamaican masses who were oppressed for so many centuries and are now emerging as a force around the world, but there are still serious inequalities in our society that have to be addressed. And it's only the People's National Party is committed to addressing those things. So we need to carry that baton forward, comrades. It would be a dereliction of duty for me if I saw the vacancy there and I realized that the party needed somebody with the skills I have and I didn't offer myself. So I've decided, I'm not somebody that had a burning ambition to do this. I've been happy to serve the movement in the various ways I've been asked. But at this time, I feel I have duty to my party, I have a duty to my party and to the people of Jamaica to offer myself for leadership. And that is why I'm doing it, comrades. And I hope I get your support. And thank you all for being a part of Team Mark Holding.
Could I just ask you just to speak to Mark Holding before your professional career?
Yes.
Take it from...
Yes, certainly.
What did I do about G2K, man?
Alright, so I was born in 1965, July 19th, at the University Hospital of the West Indies. My father had come to Jamaica in 1953. He was Jamaica's first orthopedic surgeon. Professor John Golding was his name. There was a terrible polio epidemic shortly after he came to Jamaica, and he was asked by NAA Manley to lead the medical response to the polio epidemic. He established a center to try and rehabilitate persons who had suffered the effects of polio. It later on became known as the Mona Rehab Center, and it is now called the Sir John Golding Rehab Center, since he died in 1996. He was a man who served people. He was not about trying to make a lot of money out of medicine. He did a little private practice, but all of that went to strengthening the center. And he also was an institution builder. Apart from the rehab center, he started the Hope Valley Experimental School, where Mikhail Phillips went to and Julian Robinson both went to that school. He also established a fish clinic in Papine, and he established a pain center for persons with terminal illness, which is now a hospice run up at the near Tavern in the Papine area for persons who are really facing a lot of pain through cancer. They can go there and get relief.
That's Hope Institute?
Yeah, Hope Institute, thank you. Thank you. My mother was a lifetime civil servant, public servant. She worked in the Central Planning Unit in the 50s. And then when the center was established and she married my father, she went and worked there and gave voluntary service for her whole career. So I come out of a family background about serving people. And I grew up on the university campus, and as a teenager, you know, I started to be a little rebellious, and I started to dance and them thing there, you know. So I was a lover of music, lover of sports. We used to go Jalove regularly and watch Brigadier Jerry on the microphone stand, Kilimanjaro with Early B and Supercat, and other sounds, you know. Football, we used to play football every weekend, play football and cricket from a school. And now I'm the chairman of Anigans Football Club, which is one of the top football teams in the country. I got into politics really through my friendship with Peter Bunting, helping him in his campaigns, and then eventually helping out Omar Davis. I was part of Omar because I knew Omar through the financial sector, where I worked professionally as a lawyer and investment banker. And when he went into his campaign for prosperity, as it was called then, I got involved. But after that, Portia asked me, Sister P asked me to come into the Senate. She didn't really know me, but she must have been told that I had some, you know, some capacity to serve, some skills that, yeah. And she brought me in. And I just got into the party at that time, became treasurer of the party a few years later, became opposition spokesman for justice. Then when we won the election, Minister of Justice. I was focusing on human rights of the people, and I saw the ganja situation in Jamaica, where it had been used to oppress people for so many years. I saw President Obama loosening it up a bit in the States, and I said, make we fly through that door there. And we did our reform, and we decriminalized ganja, so you can't get arrested for a spliff or a chalice, you can't get prosecuted for it, and you can't get a criminal record for it. And thousands of Jamaican youths and others have benefited from that by expungement of their criminal record. And so, comrades, I am a person who cares about Jamaican people. I love the Jamaican culture in which I grew up. and I want to give back to my country, and I believe the People's National Party has the history of accomplishments, of delivering all sorts of benefits to the Jamaican people, important changes, some of which I've already mentioned. But we have to resume our mission. Being in opposition, we're not delivering on that mission. And if we're going to get back into government, we'll have to rebuild the party. It's going to take a joint effort. Everybody has to come on board. The idea is one big tent, one big PNP tent where we can all serve our movement in a spirit of unity around a common purpose. And that is what I'm about, comrades. Thank you again for supporting me.
Before you finish, the hamster wheel of politics takes you from government to opposition and from opposition to government. With you as our current leader, we can see, based on your natural attributes and your acumen, that we will get a united party. The overarching sword of Damocles that hangs over every political party is how we will achieve government. And I think one of the common things that we would like to take back to our respective quarters is people are saying, boy, Mark is nice, but Mark can't carry us back to government. Can you speak to that in any way, so to give us something and succor?
So you could give us some talking
Yes,
points.
so that we can go back to our relative corners with a sense of comfort, knowing that we understand that popularity can't always survive, but we want to know, Mark tell us.
Well, popularity comes in different forms. So, P.J. Patterson wasn't as popular as Portia Simpson Miller in 1993, but P.J. Patterson won more elections than any other Jamaican politician. And he did so partly because the organizational skills he had ensured that the party was well managed, but also he had a stature in the country which made him attractive to people as a leader. Not as the most charismatic leader, but as a competent statesman. I think that the people of Jamaica want a leader with integrity and who is trustworthy. I think I bring that to the table. I think that in terms of charisma, my charisma is maybe not of a different type to, for example, Andrew Holness, you know. I'm not so much around, you know, trying the superficial things of life, but more around caring for people, honesty in what I say is what I do, and competence in delivering governance. I think Jamaican people want good governance, and I think we can market ourselves as a party led by somebody who understands that and who has shown in my track record as a minister that I understand what it takes to run a ministry properly, and indeed, I believe, to run a government effectively for the people. Yes, I mean, Dayton has made the point in terms of my own constituency. In the last election, I got more votes than any other PNP candidate. And I increased my majority from the by-election by nearly 1,500 votes. So the people of South St. Andrew certainly find me an attractive proposition and have supported me. So I think that if you compare that to other people, you know, that wasn't the trend in every other area, right? So, you know.
You see how you say it, Michelle?
Yes, easy to say.
But Comrade Gole also to mention that Jamaica have this thing for the junglist, you understand?
Yeah.
We grew up, you know, I would say we like the jungle.
Yeah.
You understand? So nothing wrong for Mark to say as the junglist.
Yeah,
That's true.
Yeah.
Heart of the party.
Yes.
I think I'm
Jungle is the heart of the party.
you understand?
Well, look, Arnett Gans, which was Trenchtown,
Exactly.
and Jonestown, Dessert, which is where my base is now. Tony Spalding built that constituency to what it is. And he was known as Trenchtown Rock. And Arnett Gans became known as Jungle.
Right.
And yeah, I am
Junglist.
from the jungle, of the jungle, and leading the jungle. And I'm proud of my people in South St. Andrew and their militant political zeal. That is yeah, yeah, and I think it's important for a leader to come from a strong base so that he can go out bold and do the work in the places where he needs shoring up. Yeah.
What do you do now, sir?
Honorary. Honorary.
I think importantly as well, you see,
Yeah.
this whole issue of being popular or not being popular. I think you are popular. It's just that you're popular in a different way. So don't assume that looking fancy or looking pretty, what they call trendy, what they call nowadays trendy and likes, means popularity. You're simple, and simple will attract people who are reserved and simple and want to be that way. And that's important, I would think, from a socialist perspective, because socialist people are like that.
Yeah.
Right? So we need to know, we need to know that our core, really and truly, is attracted to people like you. From Fresh Prince time, you mentioned.
So I want to say as well, comrades, up until a week ago, I never promote myself as no leader, you know. My social media was about serving my constituency. It was all about pictures on what I was doing in the constituency, and people could message me and we respond and so on. Other people have been hyping up themselves for years on social media, right?
Other people.
Yeah, other people. Other people. Well, you know, so, I mean,
Exactly.
and of course, Andrew Holness has had a huge PR machinery behind him for years. Everywhere he goes, there are cameras, and it's very effective. So I'm just getting into that world now, you know, and I have people with me who are good at it, and you know, it is already starting to happen. And I think as a Jamaican people get to know me, and know so well, him look a certain way, but at the same time, him kind of know if he flex on him cool.
Hold on, comrades, let us not do that. Fergie.
Common leader. I already said common leader. And what I noticed, you know, in government. Like what we are here now, I talk to these people who should be or would be MP. They tell you, they listen to you, they talk to you, they make it sound good. But when they are in government, you can't get them. You can't talk to them. I am begging you, start from now. Tell them to act the same way they are acting now. That's when they are in government. They don't have to. Because I am a PhD. And I have worked hard for the PhD. I have never benefited from the PMP movement. And yet, see, you know why Andy is so popular? His minister is people that he has around him. If you call any one of them, they respond. I had a problem the other day, and I had to call Tufton. And within 5 minutes, he deal with the problem for me. If I am covered on my MP,